As the months turned into a year, the bond between the Caliph and humanity grew stronger than anyone could have imagined. Trade routes flourished, carrying goods, knowledge, and ideas between Earth and Velos 7. The once distant worlds now felt like neighbors, their peoples learning to celebrate their differences while finding common ground. Caleb and Mia had become household names, celebrated for their role in forging this historic alliance. Captain Harper prepared to depart with his fleet, their mission on Velos 7 complete, for now. Before leaving, he invited Caleb and Mia aboard the lead ship one last time. "This isn't goodbye," Harper said as they stood in the same circular meeting room where it all began. "It's just the start of something bigger." Caleb nodded, though he couldn't hide the sadness in his eyes. "Will we see you again?" he asked, his voice tinged with uncertainty. "Count on it," Harper replied with a warm smile. "We'll keep in touch through the communication systems we set up. And who knows, maybe someday you'll visit Earth." To mark the occasion, Harper handed Caleb a small leather-bound book. "This is for you," he said. "It contains some of Earth's history, literature, and stories. I want you to understand us better, not just as allies, but as friends." Caleb accepted the gift, his hands trembling slightly. He opened the book to find pages filled with words and images that spoke of humanity's triumphs, struggles, and dreams. "Thank you," he said softly, his voice thick with emotion. "I'll treasure this." Mia stepped forward, shaking Harper's hand firmly. "Take care of yourself out there," she said. "And remember, we're counting on you to keep your promises." Harper chuckled, glancing at Olivia, who stood nearby. "Don't worry. We've learned our lesson about trust. You can hold us to it." As the shuttle carrying Caleb and Mia returned to Velos 7, they watched the human fleet disappear into the vastness of space. Though the ships were gone, their impact remained. Across the planet, communities thrived thanks to the shared advancements, and cultural exchanges enriched lives on both sides. In the weeks that followed, Caleb immersed himself in the book Harper had given him. Each page revealed new insights into humanity's resilience and creativity. He shared what he learned with Mia and others, sparking lively discussions about how much the two species had in common despite their differences. The Caliph people embraced their newfound connection with Earth, celebrating festivals that honored both cultures. Children played games inspired by human traditions, while elders taught visitors from Earth the ancient songs and stories of Velos 7. Slowly but surely, the myths of the past gave way to a shared reality. One evening, as Caleb and Mia walked along the glowing streets of their city, they paused to look up at the stars. The night sky seemed brighter somehow, filled with possibilities instead of fears. "Do you think we did enough?" Caleb asked, his tone thoughtful. Mia smiled, her gaze steady. "We did what we could. That's all anyone can ask for. The rest is up to them, and us, to keep building on what we started." Her words reminded Caleb of how far they had come. From the moment the mysterious ships appeared at their borders to the day they bid farewell to Captain Harper, every step had been a leap of faith. They had faced doubt, betrayal, and fear, but they had also discovered courage, trust, and hope. As the days passed, life on Velos 7 settled into a rhythm of peace and progress. The alliance with humanity became a cornerstone of their society, proof that even the most unlikely partnerships could succeed when driven by goodwill and determination. Caleb often thought about the humans traveling among the stars, carrying the lessons of their journey with them. Someday, he hoped, those lessons would inspire others to reach across divides and build bridges of their own. For now, though, Caleb and Mia took pride in knowing they had played a part in changing the course of history. The age of myths was over, replaced by an era of understanding and unity. And as long as there were those willing to believe in the power of cooperation, the future would always hold promise. Months passed, and the alliance between the Caliph and humanity grew stronger. The initial fears and doubts that had plagued both sides began to fade as they worked together on shared projects. Cities on Velos 7 flourished with the help of human technology, while Caliph knowledge of sustainable living practices enriched Earth's efforts to recover its depleted resources. Slowly but surely, trust replaced suspicion. Caleb and Mia became symbols of this new era of cooperation. Their tireless work to bridge the gap between their people and the humans earned them widespread respect. Caleb often found himself speaking at gatherings, sharing stories of how far they had come since the first meeting aboard the human ship. "We didn't always believe in each other," he would say, his voice filled with emotion. "But look at us now. Together, we've proven that even strangers can become allies." Mia, ever the pragmatist, focused on practical solutions to strengthen the bond between the two species. She organized workshops where Caliph and human engineers collaborated on innovative designs, blending their unique approaches to problem-solving. Her calm demeanor and sharp mind made her a trusted mediator when disagreements arose, a rare but inevitable part of any partnership. The joint projects brought unexpected benefits. For example, a team of Caliph farmers and human scientists developed crops that could grow in harsh conditions, helping both worlds combat food shortages. Meanwhile, Caliph artisans introduced humanity to techniques for crafting durable materials using minimal resources, inspiring new methods of production back on Earth. Captain Harper visited Velos 7 regularly to oversee the progress and maintain open lines of communication. During one such visit, he invited Caleb and Mia to a special ceremony aboard his ship. When they arrived, they were greeted by a large gathering of humans and Caliph alike, all gathered in a grand hall adorned with symbols representing both cultures. "This is more than just an alliance," Harper began, his voice carrying across the room. "It's a testament to what we can achieve when we set aside fear and embrace understanding. Today, we honor those who have worked tirelessly to bring our peoples closer together." He turned to Caleb and Mia, presenting them with small plaques engraved with intricate designs. "You two embody the spirit of cooperation," he said. "Your courage and determination have paved the way for a brighter future, not just for us, but for generations to come." Caleb accepted the plaque with trembling hands, overwhelmed by the recognition. Beside him, Mia smiled softly, though her eyes glistened with unshed tears. Neither of them had expected such gratitude, but it reinforced their belief in the importance of what they had done. As the ceremony continued, Harper announced plans for further collaboration. Trade routes would be established, allowing goods and ideas to flow freely between Earth and Velos 7. Cultural exchange programs would give citizens from both worlds the chance to learn about each other's traditions, art, and history. And most importantly, a mutual defense pact would ensure that neither species faced threats alone. Not everyone was ready to celebrate, however. Some Caliph still harbored lingering resentment toward the humans, while a few humans remained cautious about fully trusting the Caliph. But these voices grew quieter as time went on, drowned out by the success of the alliance and the tangible improvements it brought to daily life. One evening, after returning from another productive day of meetings, Caleb and Mia sat together under the stars. The sky above Velos 7 shimmered with distant galaxies, reminding them of how vast the universe truly was. "Do you think we'll ever see peace like this everywhere?" Caleb asked, his gaze fixed on the horizon. Mia hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Maybe not everywhere. At least not yet. But if we can do it here, why not somewhere else? It's a start." Her words stayed with Caleb long after they returned home. He realized that while their journey wasn't over, they had already achieved something remarkable. By choosing to trust instead of fear, to cooperate instead of compete, they had rewritten the story of two species once divided by myth and misunderstanding. For the first time in centuries, hope burned brightly, not just for the Caliph or humanity, but for anyone willing to believe in the power of unity. With Elder Jonas arrested and his betrayal exposed, the Caliph leadership worked hard to repair the damage done to their relationship with the humans. Captain Harper agreed to give peace another chance, but he made it clear that trust would need to be earned. "Actions speak louder than words," he said during a follow-up meeting. Show us you're serious about this alliance, and we'll do the same." To demonstrate their commitment, the humans offered a gesture of goodwill. They shared advanced technology with the Caliph. Among the gifts were energy-efficient reactors capable of powering entire cities for years, medical devices that could heal injuries faster than ever before, and tools designed to improve agricultural yields. These advancements amazed the Caliph people, sparking excitement and curiosity. Caleb and Mia played a key role in introducing these technologies to their world. They traveled across Velos 7, helping local communities understand how to use the new tools safely and effectively. Everywhere they went, they spoke passionately about the potential benefits of working together with humanity. "This is just the beginning," Caleb told a group of farmers as he demonstrated a device that could purify water instantly. "Imagine what else we can achieve if we keep cooperating." But not everyone was convinced. Despite the evidence of humanity's goodwill, some Caliph remained suspicious. Rumors spread that the technology might come with hidden dangers, secret programs or flaws that could harm users over time. Others worried that relying on human inventions would weaken their own culture and traditions. Mia noticed the growing unease and decided to address it head-on. During a town hall meeting in one of the larger cities, she stood before a crowd of skeptical citizens and spoke from the heart. "I know many of you are afraid," she admitted. "At first, I was too. But look around you. Look at what these tools have already done for us. Are we really going to turn away something that can make life better for everyone?" Her words resonated with some, but others clung to their doubts. One man stood up, his voice sharp with accusation. "How do we know the humans aren't using this gift to control us? Once we depend on their technology, won't they have power over us?" Caleb stepped forward, his expression calm but firm. "That's why we're here, to teach you how to use these tools yourselves. The humans aren't forcing anything on us. They're giving us a choice. It's up to us to decide what kind of future we want." Slowly, attitudes began to shift. Farmers saw their crops grow stronger and healthier thanks to human innovations. Doctors marveled at how quickly patients recovered with the new medical equipment. Even skeptics couldn't deny the positive changes happening around them. For the first time, many Caliphs started to believe that an alliance with humanity might actually work. Meanwhile, tensions within the Guardians of Velos grew weaker. Without Jomis's influence, the extremist group struggled to maintain its momentum. Some members abandoned the cause altogether, while others faded into obscurity. Though small pockets of resistance remained, their impact was minimal compared to before. Captain Harper watched these developments closely, pleased by the progress being made. He invited Caleb and Mia back aboard the human ship for a private discussion. "You two have done more than anyone else to bring our peoples closer," he said, his tone warm with gratitude. "We couldn't have asked for better allies." Caleb smiled, though he still felt a pang of nervousness around the captain. "We're just doing what we think is right," he replied. "But there's still a lot of work to do. Not everyone trusts us yet." "I know," Harper said, nodding. "And honestly, I don't blame them. Humanity hasn't always been trustworthy in the past. But I promise you this, we're here to help, not hurt. Give us a chance, and we'll prove it." As the days passed, cooperation between the Caliph and humans deepened. Joint projects brought the two species even closer together, fostering understanding and respect. Scientists exchanged ideas, engineers collaborated on new designs, and ordinary citizens began forming friendships despite their differences. For Caleb and Mia, seeing this transformation filled them with hope. They had faced fear, doubt, and danger, but through determination and courage, they had helped build a bridge between worlds. The road ahead wouldn't always be smooth, but for the first time, it felt like a brighter future was possible, not just for the Caliph or humanity, but for both species together. The attack on the human ship sent shockwaves through both the Caliph society and the human fleet. Accusations flew in every direction, and fear spread like wildfire. Many Caliph citizens were quick to blame the Guardians of Velos, the extremist group that had been openly hostile toward the humans. But others whispered about possible traitors within the Caliph government, individuals who might have secretly supported the attack to sabotage the alliance. Caleb and Mia knew they couldn't sit back and watch their world spiral into chaos. Determined to uncover the truth, they began investigating on their own. Using the encrypted files from Harper's data device as a starting point, they searched for clues about who might be involved. Late at night, huddled over glowing screens in Caleb's study, they pieced together fragments of information. One name kept appearing: Elder Jonas. "It makes sense," Caleb said quietly, pointing to a document linking Jonas to private meetings with leaders of the Guardians of Velos. "He's always been against working with the humans. What if he helped organize the attack?" Mia frowned, her fingers tapping nervously on the desk. "Even if it's true, we can't just accuse him without proof. He's too powerful. If we're wrong, we'll lose all credibility." "We have to try," Caleb insisted. "If we don't stop this now, it could ruin everything." The next day, they decided to confront Jonas directly. They requested an audience under the pretense of discussing public opinion on the human alliance. When they entered his office, a grand room filled with towering bookshelves and intricate carvings, they found him seated behind a massive wooden desk, his expression unreadable. "What brings you here?" Jonas asked, leaning back in his chair. His tone was polite but cold. Caleb took a deep breath. "We know you've been meeting with members of the Guardians of Velos," he said, his voice steady despite the knot in his stomach. "And we think you might have had something to do with the attack on the human ship." Jonas didn't flinch. Instead, he smiled faintly, as if amused by their boldness. "Careful, young historian," he said. "Accusing a council elder of treason is no small matter. Do you have evidence to back up your claim?" Mia stepped forward, holding out a datapad. "We found records of communications between you and key figures in the Guardians' leadership," she said. "Explain that." For a moment, Jonas looked surprised, then angry. He stood abruptly, his hands gripping the edge of the desk. "You two are meddling in affairs far beyond your understanding," he snapped. "This alliance will only bring disaster. I was trying to protect our people." His admission confirmed their suspicions. Caleb felt a mix of triumph and dread. "You can't keep hiding behind lies," he said firmly. "The humans deserve justice, and so do the Caliph." Knowing they needed undeniable proof to expose Jonas, Caleb and Mia left the office and headed straight for the archives. There they dug deeper into old records, searching for anything that could tie Jonas directly to the attack. After hours of relentless work, they finally found what they were looking for: a signed agreement between Jonas and the Guardians, outlining plans to disrupt negotiations with the humans. Armed with the evidence, they presented their findings to Counselor Elise. She listened carefully, her face pale with shock. "This changes everything," she said when they finished. "Thank you for bringing this to light. I'll ensure the Council addresses this immediately." True to her word, Elise called an emergency session. When the evidence against Jonas was revealed, the chamber erupted in outrage. Jonas tried to defend himself, but the weight of the proof was overwhelming. He was stripped of his position and placed under arrest, along with several other conspirators. News of the betrayal reached Captain Harper, who expressed gratitude for Caleb and Mia's efforts. "Your actions may have saved this alliance," he told them during a follow-up meeting. "But there's still much work to be done. Trust takes time to rebuild." Though relieved, Caleb and Mia knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. The attack had strained relations, and many Caliph remained wary of the humans. Still, they felt a glimmer of hope. By exposing the truth, they had taken a crucial step toward peace. For the first time, it seemed possible that humans and Caliph might truly stand together, not as strangers, but as partners facing an uncertain future. Back on Velos 7, news of the meeting spread quickly. The Caliph people were eager to hear what had happened aboard the human ship. Caleb, Mia, Nathan and Sophia reported directly to the council, sharing every detail they could remember. The information about Earth's struggles, its dwindling resources, and conflicts with other species was met with mixed reactions. Some saw it as proof that humanity was vulnerable and in genuine need of help. Others viewed it as a sign of weakness, fearing that aligning with humans might drag the Caliph into their problems. Elder Jonas was the most vocal critic. Why should we risk our safety for a species we barely know? He demanded during a heated council session. Their desperation makes them dangerous. What if they turn on us once they get what they want? Counselor Elise countered him, her tone firm but calm. Desperation doesn't always lead to betrayal, she argued. It can also create opportunities for trust. If we help them, they might become strong allies. The debate raged on, dividing not only the council, but also the general population. Across the planet, opinions clashed. Some Caliph citizens rallied behind the idea of helping humanity, believing it was their moral duty to assist those in need. Others sided with Jonas, convinced that opening their borders to strangers would only invite trouble. Amid the chaos, Caleb and Mia found themselves at the center of attention. People wanted to know everything. The way the humans spoke, how they carried themselves, even small details like what they wore or how they gestured. Caleb tried to answer honestly, emphasizing Harper's sincerity and the potential benefits of an alliance. But Maya remained cautious, reminding everyone that the humans' intentions were still unclear. "You're acting like they're saviors," Maya said to Caleb one evening as they walked through the city streets. Crowds of curious onlookers surrounded them, eager to catch snippets of their conversation. What if this is all just a strategy to win us over? They could be hiding something. "I don't think so," Caleb replied, his voice low but confident. "Harper didn't strike me as someone who lies easily. And besides, why would they go through all this effort just to trick us? It doesn't make sense." Mia sighed, shaking her head. "You're too trusting sometimes. Not everyone has good intentions, no matter how nice they seem." Despite her warnings, Caleb couldn't ignore the growing excitement among his people. Many Caliph were fascinated by the idea of working with humans, especially after hearing about the advanced technology they offered. Farmers dreamed of better tools to increase crop yields, doctors hoped for cures to stubborn illnesses, and engineers imagined building faster ships to explore deeper into space. But not everyone was swayed. A group of extremists, calling themselves the Guardians of Velos, began spreading fear. They claimed the humans were invaders who would destroy Caliph culture and enslave their people. Their rhetoric gained traction, leading to protests and even acts of sabotage against facilities involved in preparing for further talks with the humans. Caleb and Mia noticed the rising tension. One night, while reviewing the data device Harper had given them, Caleb discovered encrypted files hinting at humanity's past alliances and betrayals. "Look at this," he said, showing Mia the screen. "It says here that humans once trusted another species called the Zarnak, only for the Zarnak to turn on them during a crisis." Mia frowned, reading the text carefully. "That's exactly what I'm talking about," she said. "Humans have been burned before, and so have others. How do we know they won't do the same to us?" Caleb hesitated, unsure how to respond. He wanted to believe in Harper's words, but the evidence was hard to ignore. Still, something inside him refused to give up hope. "Maybe that's why they're being so careful now," he suggested. "Maybe they've learned from their mistakes." Before Maya could reply, alarms blared across the city. News broke that a rogue faction had attacked one of the human ships, damaging its outer hull. Several human crew members had been injured, and tensions between the two groups skyrocketed. Harper issued a stern warning. Unless the perpetrators were brought to justice, the humans would retaliate. The incident forced both sides to confront the fragility of their newfound connection. For Caleb and Mia, it became clear that trust wouldn't come easily. If peace was to prevail, they would have to work harder than ever to bridge the gap between their worlds. The meeting between the Caliph delegation and the humans began in a large, circular room aboard the lead ship. The walls were smooth and metallic, glowing faintly with soft blue light. A long table stood at the center, surrounded by chairs that looked simple but sturdy. Captain Liam Harper gestured for the Caliph representatives to sit, his movements calm but deliberate. Lieutenant Olivia Grant stood slightly behind him, her sharp eyes scanning the group as if trying to read their thoughts. Caleb felt out of place as he took his seat. He wasn't used to such formal settings, and the weight of the moment made his hands tremble. Beside him, Mia sat straight-backed, her expression carefully neutral. Nathan and Sophia exchanged quick glances, their years of experience showing in their composed demeanor. Despite their outward calm, Caleb could sense the tension in the air. Everyone was on edge, unsure of what to expect. Harper began the discussion, his voice steady and clear. "First, let me thank you for coming," he said, nodding toward the Caliph group. "We know this must be strange for you. After all, we've been gone from these parts of the galaxy for a very long time." His words sent a shiver through Caleb. Gone? Did that mean the humans had once traveled here before? He wanted to ask, but he held back, not wanting to interrupt. Instead, he listened intently, hanging on every word. "We're here because Earth needs help," Harper continued. "Our resources are dwindling, and we face too many conflicts with other species. We're looking for allies, civilizations willing to work together for mutual benefit. That's why we reached out to you." Nathan leaned forward slightly, his brow furrowed. "Why us?" he asked. "You could have chosen any number of worlds. Why Valo 7? Harper hesitated for a moment, then glanced at Olivia before answering. "Your people caught our attention," he said. "From what we observed, you're advanced but peaceful. You value knowledge and cooperation. Those are qualities we admire, and ones we need right now." Mia spoke up next, her tone cautious. "How can we trust you? For all we know, this could be a trick to gain access to our resources." Olivia stepped forward, her voice firm but not unkind. "We understand your concerns," she said. "But consider this. If we wanted to attack, we could have done so already. Instead, we're here, talking. That should tell you something about our intentions." The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Caleb found himself believing them, though he couldn't explain why. There was sincerity in Harper's voice, a weariness that suggested he had seen too much hardship to waste time on lies. Sophia, ever the diplomat, tried to steer the conversation toward practical matters. "What exactly are you proposing?" she asked. "What kind of alliance are you looking for?" Harper explained that humanity sought trade agreements, shared technology, and mutual protection against common threats. In return, they offered access to advancements the Caliph had never seen, energy sources that lasted longer, medical treatments that cured diseases faster, and tools that could revolutionize their way of life. As the discussion went on, Caleb noticed subtle shifts in the mood of the room. At first, everyone had been guarded, speaking carefully to avoid giving too much away. But slowly the stiffness began to fade. Harper's openness seemed genuine, and even Mia softened slightly, her skepticism giving way to curiosity. When the meeting ended, both sides agreed to continue talks. Before leaving, Harper handed Caleb a small device. "This contains information about Earth," he said. "It might help you understand who we are, and why we're here." Caleb accepted it, his hands trembling again. As they prepared to return to their shuttle, he couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental had just happened. The humans weren't mythical beings anymore. They were real, flawed, and desperate for connection. And now, the Caliph had been given a chance to shape the future, not just for themselves, but for two species brought together by fate. The decision to meet the humans face-to-face sparked heated debates among the Caliph leadership. Some argued that sending representatives was too dangerous, while others insisted it was the only way to learn more about their intentions. Elder Jonas remained firmly against the idea. "We cannot trust these strangers," he said during one particularly tense council meeting. "They could be lying about wanting peace. For all we know, They're planning an ambush. Counselor Elise disagreed. If we refuse to meet them, we risk appearing hostile, she countered. And if they truly want allies, turning them away could mean losing a valuable opportunity. We must take this chance. As the arguments dragged on, Caleb listened intently from the sidelines. He wasn't part of the council, but his knowledge of human legends had earned him a seat in the discussions. Though he tried to stay quiet, he couldn't help but feel frustrated by the lack of progress. The humans were waiting for a response, and every moment of hesitation made the situation more tense. Finally, after hours of debate, the council reached a decision. They would send a small delegation to meet with the humans aboard their lidship. Caleb was stunned when his name was added to the list of representatives. "Why me?" he asked, his voice shaking. "I'm just a historian. I don't have any experience with diplomacy." "That's exactly why you're going," Elise explained. "Your understanding of human culture, however limited, could be useful. And your curiosity might help bridge the gap between us." Mia was chosen as well, much to her surprise. "You're good at reading people," Elise told her. "We need someone who can spot deception or hidden motives." Though Mia didn't look thrilled about the assignment, she nodded reluctantly. She knew there was no point arguing once the council had made up its mind. Joining Caleb and Mia were two seasoned diplomats. Nathan, a stern man with years of negotiation experience, and Sophia, a calm and observant advisor known for her ability to diffuse conflicts. Together, the four of them would represent the Caliph in what could be the most important meeting in their history. As preparations began, Caleb struggled to contain his excitement. He spent hours reviewing everything he knew about humans, hoping to prepare himself for whatever might happen. Mia, however, was more cautious. "Don't get your hopes up," she warned him. "These humans might not be anything like the ones in your stories. They could be completely different, or worse." Despite her words, even Mia couldn't deny the weight of what they were about to do. This wasn't just a diplomatic mission. It was a step into the unknown. For centuries, the Caliph had believed humans were nothing more than myths. Now, they were about to meet them face to face. On the day of the meeting, the delegation boarded a sleek shuttle designed for interstellar travel. As the craft lifted off from Valo 7, Caleb stared out the window at the shrinking planet below. His heart pounded with a mix of fear and anticipation. What would the humans be like? Would they live up to the legends, or shatter them completely? The journey to the human fleet felt both endless and fleeting. When the shuttle finally approached the lead ship, everyone fell silent. The vessel loomed above them, its surface gleaming with an otherworldly light. It was massive, far larger than any Caliph ship Caleb had ever seen. He felt small and insignificant in comparison. As the shuttle docked and the airlock opened, Caleb took a deep breath. This was it, the moment of truth. Stepping out alongside Mia, Nathan, and Sophia, he entered the human ship for the first time. The interior was unlike anything he had imagined. Smooth metallic walls glowed faintly, and the air smelled clean and sharp. Standing before them were two figures in uniforms that looked both functional and authoritative. The taller of the two stepped forward, his piercing eyes scanning the group. "Welcome aboard," he said, his voice steady and confident. "I'm Captain Liam Harper, and this is Lieutenant Olivia Grant. We've been expecting you." Caleb's mind raced as he shook hands with Harper. The man's grip was firm, his presence commanding. Beside him, Olivia watched silently, her sharp gaze missing nothing. For a moment, Caleb forgot how to speak. These were humans, the beings from the stories he had spent years studying. And now, they were standing right in front of him. The meeting began cautiously, with both sides exchanging formal greetings. But beneath the polite words, Caleb could sense the tension. Everyone was careful, weighing each sentence before speaking. Despite the uncertainty, one thing was clear: the age of myths was over. The humans were real. and their arrival had changed everything. Days turned into a week, and still the mysterious ships remained silent. The Caliph people grew restless, unsure whether to feel relieved or terrified by the lack of action from the fleet. Caleb spent most of his time glued to updates, analyzing every scrap of information he could find. He noticed small details others seemed to miss: how the ships moved in perfect formation, how their glowing lines shifted patterns like some kind of language. To him, it felt deliberate, as though they were waiting for something. Mia, on the other hand, was growing frustrated with Caleb's obsession. "Your acting like this is your personal mystery to solve," she said one afternoon as they sat together in a quiet corner of the city library. "Why does it matter so much to you?" "It matters because it's real," Caleb replied, his voice filled with urgency. "These ships are here for a reason. If we ignore that, we might miss something important." Before Maya could respond, an announcement interrupted the calm of the library. A loudspeaker crackled to life, and a voice declared, "Attention, citizens. We have received a transmission from the unidentified fleet. Stand by for further details." The room fell silent as everyone stopped what they were doing to listen. Even Maya looked shocked. Caleb's heart raced. This was it, the moment he had been waiting for. Were the ships about to reveal themselves? And if they did, what would they say? Minutes later, the message came. It wasn't clear at first, just a series of broken sounds and fragmented words in universal galactic code, the common language used by many species across the galaxy. But slowly, the pieces began to make sense. The translation teams worked quickly, piecing together the meaning. When the final version was broadcast, it sent chills through everyone who heard it. "We are human," the message began. "We come seeking allies, not enemies." The words echoed across Velos 7, sparking disbelief and awe. Humans, the mythical beings from ancient legends, were real. They existed, and now they were here. Caleb couldn't believe it. His hands trembled as he replayed the message over and over again, trying to take it all in. All those years of studying, all those hours spent poring over dusty scrolls. It hadn't been wasted. The humans were real, and they had finally returned. But not everyone shared Caleb's excitement. Across the planet, reactions were mixed. Some celebrated, hailing the arrival of humans as proof that the old stories were true. Others were skeptical, convinced the message was a trick designed to lower their guard. Elder Jonas voiced his concerns loudly during a council meeting. "How do we know this isn't a trap?" he demanded. "For all we know, these humans could be planning to attack us." Counselor Elise countered him, her tone calm but firm. "We won't know unless we try to communicate. Ignoring them, or worse, attacking them, could lead to disaster. Let's give them a chance to explain themselves." As the debate raged on, Caleb found himself thinking about the implications. If the humans truly wanted allies, then why had they waited so long to reveal themselves? What had changed? And more importantly, why had they chosen Velos 7? Mia tried to keep Caleb focused on the bigger picture. "Even if they're telling the truth, it doesn't mean they're trustworthy," she warned. "Just because they say they want allies doesn't mean they actually do." "I know," Caleb admitted, "but don't you see? This is our chance to learn more, to understand who they really are. We can't just turn away from that." Despite her doubts, Mia couldn't deny the spark of curiosity in Caleb's eyes. She knew how much this meant to him, even if she didn't fully share his enthusiasm. As the days passed, the Caliph leadership decided to send a response. They crafted a careful message, welcoming the humans and asking for clarification about their intentions. It was a risky move, but one they hoped would open the door to understanding. When the reply came, it was brief but clear. "We wish to meet face to face. Send representatives to discuss terms of cooperation." The announcement sent shockwaves through the council chambers. Who would go? And what would happen if things went wrong? Caleb felt a strange mix of excitement and dread. Whatever happened next, he knew it would change everything, for better or worse. The arrival of the mysterious ships sent shockwaves through the Caliph society. For days, the giant vessels remained silent, hovering just beyond the borders of Caliph-controlled space. The leaders of Valo 7 held urgent meetings to decide what to do. Some argued that the ships should be met with force, while others suggested sending a message of peace. No one could agree on anything, and the uncertainty only added to the growing fear among the people. Caleb followed the news closely, his heart racing every time he heard an update. He spent hours staring at images of the ships broadcasted on public screens. They looked powerful and intimidating, but there was also something fascinating about them. Their design seemed almost familiar. Caleb couldn't explain it, but he felt as though he'd seen something like them before, in the old stories about humans. Could these ships belong to the mythical race he had spent so much time studying? Mia noticed how distracted Caleb had become. "You're acting like this is some kind of personal mission," she said one evening as they walked through the city streets. The usual hum of activity had been replaced by nervous chatter about the ships. "It's not your responsibility to figure out who they are." "I know," Caleb replied, his voice quiet. "But don't you feel it too? Something big is happening here. Whether we like it or not, our lives are about to change." As if on cue, alarms blared across the city. The two stopped in their tracks as a loud voice echoed from nearby speakers. "Attention, citizens of Valo 7, the announcement began. An unidentified fleet has entered our territory. All non-essential travel is suspended until further notice. Stay calm and await instructions." Panic rippled through the crowd around them. People rushed home, while others gathered in groups, discussing what might happen next. Caleb and Mia joined a small group of curious onlookers near a public screen showing live footage of the ships. One of the vessels moved slightly closer, its glowing lines pulsing brighter. It felt like it was watching them back. Later that night, the Caliph leadership made another announcement. They had attempted to communicate with the ships using standard interstellar protocols, but there had been no response. This silence only deepened the tension. Were the ships ignoring them, or were they unable to understand? Or worse, were they planning an attack? Elder Jonas, one of the most respected leaders on Valo 7, spoke during a televised address. His deep voice carried both authority and unease. "We cannot ignore the possibility that these ships pose a threat to our safety. Until we know more, we must prepare for the worst." He went on to describe plans to mobilize defense forces and fortify key locations around the planet. Not everyone agreed with Jonas. Counselor Elise, known for her diplomatic approach, urged caution. "We should not assume hostility without evidence," she said during the same broadcast. "Let us try once more to reach out. Perhaps they mean no harm." The debate continued late into the night, dividing not only the council, but also the general population. Some supported Jonas's call for action, believing the ships were invaders who needed to be driven away. Others sided with Elise, hoping for a peaceful resolution. Amid the chaos, Caleb found himself torn between hope and fear. What if the ships really did belong to humans? Would they welcome the Caliph, or would they see them as enemies? Mia tried to keep Caleb grounded. "You're getting ahead of yourself," she told him when he started talking excitedly about the possibility of meeting humans. "Even if they are real, what makes you think they'll care about us? We're just one species among millions." "You don't understand," Caleb said, shaking his head. "If they're human, then everything changes. All those stories I've studied, they could be true. Don't you see how important that is?" Mia sighed. "I see how important it is to you. But remember, Caleb, sometimes legends stay legends for a reason." Despite her words, Caleb couldn't let go of the idea. Deep down, he believed the appearance of the ships was no coincidence. Something, or someone, had brought them here. And whatever it was, Caleb knew it would soon demand their full attention. In the far reaches of space, on a green and blue planet called Valo 7, lived a people known as the Caliph. They were tall, graceful beings with shimmering skin that reflected light like water under the sun. The Caliph had built great cities with towers that reached into the clouds and highways that stretched across their world. They were proud of their achievements and believed themselves to be the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. But there was one thing about the Caliph. They loved stories. Every night, families would gather around glowing fires or holographic displays to listen to tales of old. Among these stories were legends of a strange race called humans. These humans, it was said, once traveled among the stars, exploring planets and leaving their mark wherever they went, but no one had seen them for thousands of years. Many Caliph dismissed the tales as nothing more than myths, fantastical stories made up by ancestors who didn't know better. Caleb, a young historian with bright eyes full of curiosity, thought differently. He spent most of his days buried in ancient scrolls and dusty archives, searching for any clues about the humans. His best friend, Mia, often teased him about his obsession. "Caleb," she would say, rolling her eyes, "you're wasting your time chasing fairy tales. Humans probably never even existed." But Caleb couldn't shake the feeling that the stories held some truth. There were too many similarities in the accounts from different regions of Valo 7. All spoke of humans as clever, resourceful creatures who could adapt to almost any situation. Some even claimed humans had visited their world long ago, though no physical evidence remained. One evening, as Caleb sat in the dim light of his study, something unusual happened. Across the planet, communication devices began to flicker and buzz, screens went black, and voices crackled with static. At first, everyone assumed it was just another glitch, a minor inconvenience in an otherwise perfect society. But then came the reports. Strange objects had appeared near the edges of Caliph-controlled space. These objects were massive ships, unlike anything the Caliph had ever encountered. Their shapes were sleek and angular, with glowing lines running along their hulls. They moved silently, casting shadows over moons and asteroids. No signals were sent at first, which only deepened the mystery. Who were these visitors? And why were they here? News of the ships spread quickly, causing both excitement and fear among the Caliph. In the streets, people whispered about the possibility of humans finally returning. Could the legends be true? Or was this some unknown enemy coming to claim their territory? Caleb felt a mix of emotions. On one hand, he was thrilled. This could be a proof he'd been searching for all his life. On the other hand, he worried. If the ships belonged to humans, what did they want? Were they friends or foes? And if they weren't human, then who or what were they? Mia tried to calm him down when she saw how worked up he was getting. "Relax, Caleb," she said, placing a hand on his shoulder. "We don't even know if those ships are real yet. Don't jump to conclusions." But Caleb couldn't relax. Something inside him told him this was important, maybe even historic. Little did he know, his life, and the lives of everyone on Valo 7, was about to change forever.